Okay. 1 second. Let's see here. So remember from yesterday, we have our authors model that we made, and we're going to have an author have many books. Now, book has a name, a genre, and something that's going to be very important is it has a author ID. So our book column is going to have or this is for your homework, I should say. I switched this up. This is actually going to, for your homework, your book column is going to have the name of the author. And if I want to make this back to artists, because I think I switched this up for the homework. I'm going to switch this to artists, back to artists. I think this was like fans and play count. We're going with our example. Sorry, I forgot I switched that. So we have an artist, because that's what we did yesterday. An artist has many songs. So and this is the model we're going to be creating, and we're going to be doing the CRUD actions for this model. But the thing we need to keep in mind is that our song belongs to an artist. So a song is going to have an artist ID associated with it. And, if we looked at like some dummy data where we had, 2 artists, Michael Jackson and Britney Spears, they have ID 23 and 44. And then we have our song table, Thriller. Let's look at this ID. This ID is 23. This is the ID of the song, even though it's not the ID of the artist. So I could have a song that has an ID 23. I could have an artist that has ID 23. Those are 2 different things because they're on 2 different tables. But what I do is on my song table, I have what's called a foreign key, which is going to be the artist ID. So this 23 on this right-hand side, that is referring to this primary key of Michael Jackson. And we also saw, we're not going to be able to create a song if we don't have an artist ID. So this artist ID is going to be required. So that wouldn't even have an ID because that is, required. Like this is not going to be able to create to our database. So let's go in and create this and do this stuff in Rails. So I want to create a model and a controller. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to create a songs model, Rails G model songs. It's going to have a name. That's going to be a string. It's going to have a play count. That was going to be an integer. Now I'm going to use a little helper here because I wanted to have an artist ID, but I'm going to use a helper because this is going to set up some stuff for me. I'm going to say this is going to have an artist, singular. And the type of this is going to be belongs to. So this is going to be the name of your model, and then we give it the type of belongs to. And then everything else is going to remain the same. So this is the new thing. Go ahead and run that. So I've created a model. What do I need to do after I create a model?
Migrate.
I need to migrate, Rails DB, migrate. So let's go look at these files. Let's look at the migration file. So here's the instructions to create this table. So we have a songs table. It has a name, which is a string. It has a play count, which is an integer. And then it has this artist, which is this like belongs to. But notice how we see these 2 things, null is false. What do you think that means?
Is it saying that if it belongs to nothing, that is false?
It's saying this value can't be null. We can create, so with how it is, we can create a database, we can create a song that doesn't have a name or a play count, but this is a database validation.
So it's saying that it has to have an artist in order to save it?
Yes, it has to have, and then it's also saying, hey, this is going to be a foreign key. And then if I go look at my schema to see what this actually looks like, here's my songs table. I have a name, that's a string. I have a play count that is an integer, but now I have that column artist ID, which is actually, it's called a big int. It's just a big integer. It's different than an integer, it's a big int, and it's saying null false. And then there's also this like index. So the belongs to, when we do the artist belongs to, it kind of does some things for us. Like it makes it so it can't be null. It makes it a big int. It calls it the artist ID.
Don't you need the foreign key? I like the other one, the null after null.
It doesn't really, it is a foreign key. We don't really say call it a foreign key. We call it artist ID. The artist ID is a foreign key.
Okay.
So let's do this. So now that this is, so we're going to do nothing with the controller right now. Let's just step in and go to our console. So let's go ahead and grab, let's try to create a song first. So let's do like song1 equals artist or song dot create name. I can't think of the song, like yo. This isn't going to work anyway. Let's give it a play count. 3. Run this. ID is nil, right? So s1 dot errors dot full messages. There's that. Artist must exist. So I didn't do anything with the model. Like I didn't add a validation. Like the validation was added for us. So I'm getting an error. This can't exist.
So you've made it to no matter what, you have to have an artist linked to a song in order for it to post?
Yes. We can not create a song if we don't have a so what I could do is I could go and find an artist. So let's do artist dot first. Okay, so Michael Jackson has ID 6. So let's go ahead. What's a Michael Jackson song? Change the world.
Really?
I think, oh yeah, we don't have Thriller in our database. Thriller. So, and then I can do artist. So that's play count, and then I can do artist underscore ID.
6.
And that can be 6. I spelled art.
Spelled artist wrong.
Artist ID 6. So now I can do song dot first. So now I have a song. It has, artist ID 6.
Now, question.
Yeah.
What is the S1? Is that the name that you gave his first song, or what is the S1?
S1 is a variable. It's a Ruby variable.
Okay.
That I'm just storing in memory just so I can go look at it. If I didn't store it to a variable, it would create it to a database, but then I couldn't type anything.
So you could have done like B1 for book 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So you store it to a variable when you don't want it to store to the database, or?
I store it to a variable when I want to use it in my app. Because because what I want to do is I want to call a method on this. Like maybe I want to like check out the ID, s1.id. If I don't store that to a variable, if I create a song, let's just get rid of this. Let's not store that to a variable. Okay. If I don't store it to a variable, like I can't go like, you know, song.id. Like, how do I get the name? Like it's stored to the database, but I can't like go like mess around with it. If I want to like play around with it, I'm going to store it to a variable. So let's go find that song.find two. Now it's in a variable. Now I can do like song2.id. It's just like pointing to that song, just creating a variable. So what I want to be able to do is, and I want to be able to do like s2.artist, because I want to say like this belongs to an artist, right? Wow, that works. Song2.artist is Michael Jackson. So there's some Rails stuff going on here. I can get an instance of the song, and since my song belongs to an artist, I can just do s2.artist. Okay, let's do, well, can I go the other way? Let's do mj equals, you know, artist dot find. He has ID 6. Let's go find them. Let's do mj dot songs. That doesn't work. So it seems to only go one way. Let's fix that. So if I go look at my song model, this was thrown in there for me, belongs to artist. Because when I ran that command to generate this model, I said artist : belongs to. So Rails did that for me. And that's why in my terminal, when I do s2.artist, it grabs me the song because it has this line of code. So what I need to do to make it work the other way is I go into my artist, and I'm going to say this has many songs. And this is where like the pluralization is really important. And this is why, you know, with Rails, for all of this stuff to work, you got to be right with your pluralization. And it's nice because you would say it like you would say it in English. Like a song belongs to artist, plural, singular. A artist has many songs. So I'm going to save that. I need to exit out of my console to see this work because I made a change. If I make a change, I need to restart my console. So since I destroyed my console session, like MJ is not defined. I need to go define it again. Artist. So let's go find that artist. Store it to a variable called MJ. So now I can do MJ. There's Michael Jackson. And now I can do MJ.songs.
Now, how you define Michael Jackson has an MJ for a quick way to search for it, will it be like that forever or just until you exit out of this certain terminal?
Yes, it's just until it's a variable stored in memory. So when I stop Rails console, it's done.
Okay, but it's just kind of a quicker way to browse through if you wanted to browse through your data.
Yeah, because I just kind of want to like do because I want to do MJ.songs.
Okay.
And or I could do, I don't have to store it to a variable. I could just say artist.find 6.songs. I don't know, I think MJ.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I can do MJ.songs.first. That grabs me the first song. I can do on mj.songs.last. I can do mj.songs.last.artist. What do you think that's going to be?
Probably Michael Jackson again.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that's just Michael Jackson. .songs.last. Like you can kind of like go in a circle. So
now like with Britney Spears, you can assign Britney Spears BS and then do the same thing. BS.songs. And it'll give all her songs once you finally address it.
there we go. Turkey face equals artist. I mean, I don't have to, I can call that variable name anything. I'm going to call Brittany turkey face. Dot find. I don't know what ID she has. 2. Maybe I deleted her. 7. Oh, there she is. So now it's just a variable. I created a variable called turkey face and I set it equal to artist.find7, which is Britney Spears with ID 7. So let's go back. So now that I have this has many associations set up, I can do mj.songs. And now I can treat this as like Michael Jackson songs. And I can actually call the create method on this. mj.songs.create. Build the world. Yeah, whatever. I don't even need to do a count. Now I'm not giving this an artist ID, right? Just the name. That successfully creates. But since I created with a artist, an instance of the artist class, Michael Jackson, I could create a song and then it's just going to use that ID, Michael Jackson's ID, which is 6, to create that song.
And that should save in storage, right?
You tell me. Is this?
I believe that it should. It makes sense.
It's not.
to me.
It's not should. It's did it.
Yeah, it did.
It did, because I have an ID. That's. Yeah, this should save it, but this actually did save it. You kind of gotta like start like being super literal when you're thinking about things like that, because like those like should and did, those are 2 different words. So, but yeah, that was saved to the database. Cool. So let's now go apply what we learned and here and go to our seeds file. Do this in our seeds file. So, and we're going to look at like 2 ways to create, create with the song class. So we saw we could create with the song class. So I could do song create name. Let's do thriller. Let's do play count.
Didn't you already use Thriller?
I'm going to delete them all, so it doesn't really matter.
How
How do I get the artist ID? I need the artist ID. How do I get Michael Jackson's artist ID?
Artist ID 6.
You have to create something equal to Michael Jackson, right?
Yeah, and I might not. What would you create something equal to, like MJ equals like artist dot find? Is that what you're saying? Or
I wouldn't know how to do it, but it's like you have to create a variable equal to Michael Jackson and his ID, and then use that.
yeah, that's exactly what we need to do. Let's just do it right here. Boom. mj.id. BS. That's why I'm storing these to now I need to store these to a variable because I need to use them later in my code. This saves it to the database, but it also returns the thing. Now I can save it to the database, but I also want to like have it in as a variable in memory so I can use it in my file. Does that make sense? So let's do it. Okay, so there's with the song class. So I'm creating with the song class because I'm calling it with our model. I can also create a song with instance of artist. So a instance. Michael Jackson is a instance of an artist, right? It's one artist. So I can do mj.songs.create. Play count, whatever. I mean, I should say this automatically sets artist ID. Because I'm using the instance, the instance calling the method. So do mj.songs, so .create. This is song uppercase and singular .create. That's the song class. Here I can grab a instance of a artist because my artist has many songs, and I can use that to create. Now that's just some like Rails. Like Rails is setting that up for us. And it's setting it up because we also in our models, we've done the, like when we generated our database, we did the artist : belongs to, and then we're also in our song and artist. So in our song, we have a belongs to artist, and then in our artist, we have an artist has many songs. So let's go to let's also go here. Actually, no, I'm going to just show you this because I want us to see this error. So I'm going to go back to my seeds file. I'm going to destroy all my artists. So I create some songs. I've just added this. Let's also do like one with Brittany so we can see kind of two examples. One with Michael and one with Brittany. Toxic, I don't know what her song's names are. So we have some songs, different ways to create them just for demo. Let's go try to run our seeds file. I get an error. I get this invalid foreign key, foreign violation, error, update or delete table on artist, foreign key on table songs. Key ID 6 is still a reference from table songs. So what this is saying is I'm trying to delete my artists, but now that artist has many songs like associated with it. So it's saying, hey, you can't destroy your artist because there's still songs in your database. And I think for this case and for what we're going to do, what we're going to want to do all the time is we're going to say, hey, that's fine. That's fine if, I destroy your artist, you go destroy all their songs as well. So
Another way to fix that could be songs.destroy_all or song.destroy_all.
Okay, let's try that. Is this going to work?
Songs. But it wouldn't destroy the author, would it?
It's not songs, it's song.
It is song.
Yeah. When I call it on a instance, it's songs. Because it's Michael Jackson's songs, right? Michael Jackson doesn't have a song, he has songs. an instance has songs, but when it's our model, when it's just a class, it's
Okay,
uppercase
that
and it's
makes sense.
singular. This is not going to work. But I can make this work. How do I make? You're kind of right. I could do it this way.
Do you have
Well-
to connect it to the author since they're together? Like,
There is a way to do that. We'll look at that. I can actually get this to work if
We
I
have to comment out artist and author.
just call this first.
So let's do it first.
And I have a wrong art. This is a different error. C. Oh, I forgot to do the name here. We got here though, so it actually destroyed those. Do that again. Cool. So that worked, but I think it makes sense. Like if I destroy an artist, I should destroy all the songs that belongs to that artist. So another way I can do this, and where it will actually just do it for me, is like go to my parent model. So in this case, the artist that has the many of the songs. And I do a dependent destroy. And this says destroy all songs when a artist is destroyed. For a given artist, it'll go destroy all that artist songs. So that dependent destroy. So now, because if I go back to my seeds file, I don't have any songs not destroyed, but it will destroy them all. So if I can stop it, step into my console, I do song.all. So now I have 4 songs. Let's say I go delete artist dot find, I don't know what ID it's go, it's 12. I guess I have one. So I have an ID, artist ID 12. Let's go find Michael Jackson. Let's call destroy. Let's destroy Michael Jackson.
Now, after you destroy him, you should have one ID left, ID 13, and that should be Britney Spears, right?
Yeah, but let me show you like song.all. Now I only have 2 songs. So I destroyed Michael Jackson. I didn't destroy any songs like manually, but by destroying Michael Jackson, now all of the Michael Jackson songs are gone. And yeah, if I do an artist all, I just have Britney Spears now. And so I think just to kind of make an argument for the seeds file, it's nice because I can step into my console and go mess around with stuff. But if I ever just want to reset my database, I have that seeds file just to kind of get me back to like a state, where I have Michael Jackson, Britney Spears, they both have their 2 songs. Cool. So that is the model
Can
portion.
you go back to your artist RB real quick and just show us again like what that extra thing you added was, that dependent?
Yeah. And I'll slack out these 2.
There wouldn't be a way to get your 1 to 12 ID back unless you created a whole new database.
Yeah, those are gone.
And you can't manually create an ID, right?
Yeah, we let the database do that for us.
Okay.
I'm also going to throw this command in there. So yeah, it's this belongs to that's important. And then, this is actually going to be generated for us. We just need to add like this one thing. So you're going to do has many books, dependent destroy. Rails G model book name. I don't know what we called it. The other thing, author belongs to. So that is the model. And the has many, you're probably going to, like, the first time you go through it, like today, and we're just going through it in Rails, it's probably going to be a little confusing. We'll throw React in there. It will also make it confusing. But like next week and the hackathon, you're going to have like a has many association full, like that you're doing in Rails and React. So we kind of have like a week to get this down or to work on this.
Is backend in a way slightly easier than front end?
I think in this course, yes.
Because to me, like this concept isn't too hard to understand.
And the other thing is Rails is making this very nice for us. So we're getting a lot of Rails is by the conventions with Rails. Yeah, it makes it pretty straightforward. Not saying it's not hard. It's not like there's a lot of moving parts. It's hard to get your head wrapped around, but I think, yeah, really, if I was doing the hackathon, like the back end, I could do in like, 30 minutes, but the front end would take me hours. Like the React stuff there's just a lot more going on with the React stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
So when you're doing the front end, do you have to directly reference the routes that you did in the back end, or the paths on the routes?
I mean, yeah. I guess I don't so we have routes here.
Mhm.
So if you're doing React, this is will be your menu. Like, let's say I want to get all
Right.
the answers. I'm going to do like a Axios .get API/authors.
And you could do that in for say a click of a button, like how we did last week, right?
Yeah. And as far as the front end's concerned, so with the front end, I just care about the verb and the path. In a way, I don't care about where it's going. I do care about what it returns, like all artists. That returns one artist, that's what I care about as the front end. That returns one artist.
Okay, so when we're creating paths in React, we want to make sure they're the same as this.
And don't get your paths with React Router confused with your API paths. They're two completely different things.
Okay.
So if you have a link, component in React to authors, or you have your root or a route in React, path, authors, this is going to be React router stuff.
Okay, so those are connected to the
API stuff.
Okay.
And what's one way you can tell? All of your API paths are going to be API/. So that's, if you see just a slash authors, that's going to be React Router and dealing with navigation, UI.
Okay, so we only need to worry about it when we're using Axios and API.
Yeah.
Then that's when we want it to be the same.
Yeah. All right. So, oh, we need to generate a controller. We haven't done that. So we need to do a songs controller. This is nothing, there's going to be nothing different here. Just Rails G controller. API/songs. We don't need to do anything special with this other than follow our conventions of prepending with the API and then naming our controller plural of that, of the model. Okay, so now where it gets a little more with the routes, and this is where it's really like, if you understand the routes, this is actually not all that bad. But here's, and we're just going to follow conventions. So let's just do this right here.
You had to make that controller before you do this.
I mean, I'm eventually going to need the controller. I could set up my routes technically before I have the controller, but
So for the previous one, you did Rails G controller API/artist. And then that's how you were able to create those routes up top.
no, the Rails G controller API songs, that just creates in my controllers file a song.
Oh, okay. All right.
And that's where I'm going to like throw all those index, create, update methods.
Okay.
So now in my routes file, I need to start creating some routes for the CRUD actions on my songs.
So the first one would be songs 2, songs #index, and then just so on and so forth.
Close. But with this one, this is, so that could maybe be the way we do it. But for this one, what I'm going to say is for all of these actions, like for like songs, I don't want to see all the songs. I could create a path for that. There's nothing wrong in that thinking. But for this UI or for this path,
You want
I
to do
don't-
songs by artist.
yeah, I'm only going to grab the songs by artist. So
So-
how I'm going to do this path is I'm going to say artists. And then I'm going to give it not ID, but I want to say, I want to call this, if I want to name this properly, remember I can name this anything. The conventional name I'm going to give this is the name of the model _ID. And then /songs. Because, and what you were saying, Randy, was I'm going to do a get songs. And that was the right idea. But for all of our paths for our songs, we're going to prepend it with artist/artist ID. And then
So
the
you just
rest
want
of
it to be a child on their artist.
it's not really, yeah.
Not a, if that's correct terminology, but I understand what you mean.
It's more of just like directing it towards the songs of that specific artist, right?
Yeah. So this, and then this just goes to the songs show method. Or sorry, index. So just marinate on this URL. Just
So the next one would be the
just
same
stop,
thing.
stop, just because now we're going to go to the controller and I'm going to ask this question. You have this memorized? So
Yeah.
if I go to my songs controller, I need to define what method?
Index.
Index.
Index. How do I find the artist? With that route we just memorized.
Can I see like the author's controller to kind
Through
of
the artist.
You don't need to, I was highlighting what you needed.
so then you need the artist/artist ID/songs.
Not, I'm in my controller. Like what Ruby code or Rails code do I write to find the song, the artist? I want to find the artist. So first of all, what's the method?
Render JSON.
No, I want to find the artist.
Just to get.
I want to find the artist.
Artist dot find.
Find
Yes,
Or
artist
find.
dot find.
artist.
There's that. That's the first part. But now I need to give it the ID. How do I get the ID?
Artist ID.
The brackets and then ID.
Close. It's the params. I got to get from params, right? And then what did I call it?
So
ID.
artist underscore ID.
Yeah, artist
Oh,
underscore ID. Right? Because here's the path. Anything that starts with a colon is going to be like this. My params are going to pick that up. And it's going to be called artist ID. Now, really, when I send this, it's going to have like a number. But I don't know what that's going to be. I call it artist ID. So then I'm going to have in my songs controller, I'm kind of expecting params artist ID, and I'm expecting that to be the song.
So you can set this. to
I'm
an instance
expecting
variable
that
and
to
keep
be
using
the
it.
artist. What?
You can set this to an instance variable and keep using it.
Yeah, exactly. That's because I'm actually going to want to do this on all the methods. Because for every method, and we'll see this, every method I'm going to give the artist ID. So for every method, let's set the artist. So def set artist. Let's actually just get this working, see if this works, and then we'll do that. So let's just render JSON at
Artist.
Okay. So I have a route. I get request to artist, then the ID, and then the songs. So I'm going to do a get API artists, the ID of the artist, and then songs. And on my server running. So let's start that. Rails S-P 3001. Uninitialized constant. Let's check my server. Where's that coming from? Oh, I think I deleted something on accident. Let's go to my songs controller. Yeah, for some reason I deleted that R. Okay, let's try that again. Could not find artist with ID 1. Did I delete that one? Let's go look at all my artists. So I have an artist with ID 14. So I need to make sure I give it a valid artist ID. Artist ID 14, songs. Cool. There's my artist. It's not the songs, right? I haven't done the songs yet, but I've found the artist. Cool. So I want to do that with every method here. Before action, set artist. We're going to do that everywhere. Don't need to do that. How do I grab the songs from this artist? Well, I could just do .songs because we have that has many association. There we go. I do artist 14 songs. That gives me all of Michael Jackson songs. If I go to 15, I think that's Britney Spears. That gives me Britney Spears songs. Cool. So let's go back to the routes. Let's do create. So I can just copy Command C, Command V. So this is going to be a post. And it's just going to match this. So it's going to, like, all of these are going to start with artist : artist ID. And then it's going to match what it would be if it was just solo. So that'd be post songs, and that should go to my songs create.
Now you'd have to go back to controller and do your create method, right?
Yeah. Let's first do our song params method. Song params. What is this going to be? Params dot require what?
name song.
Yeah, it's going to be song. Then it's the name of the model. So we're going to require song. And then what are we going to permit?
Name.
Name.
And then also you could do play count if you wanted to.
Yeah, play count. And I'm not going to permit artist ID. Like that's just, that might have been like a good thing or good guess, but we're not going to permit artist ID. We don't want them, we want us as the backend to control the artist ID. So that is definitely one thing we would not want to permit. Even though we're going to create it, we need that. But because we have the artist ID from the URL. So we'll go ahead and use that. So now I can do a def create. So let's do this so I'm going to create a song. This is going to be equal to I'm going to use my artist instance variable that I set before this method was called, because I'm calling the before action. We set the artist. I'm going to use the dot songs method on that.
And then it would be dot create.
Yeah. Name. Oh wait, sorry.
Now would dot new work as well?
Yeah, that's the one I want to use. I want to use new. It's like it's going to be the same thing. I'm just using, instead of using capital S dot new, I'm going to use the artist dot songs dot new. Because what is that going to do? You know, this will set up artist ID for us. By using @artist dot songs dot new. Cool. And now I can just kind of go with the same flow. I can do it @song dot save. This is going to be the same. Render JSON. Render JSON. I'm having a brain fart. So let's render JSON, and then I can do my errors. Song dot errors messages, and then do the status 422. So it's pretty similar, right? There's just this kind of, we're going to use the instance of artist to create the song. But we still like sanitize the parameters. We still do all of that. So let's now do a post. So this is going to be, you know, song name, song, play count. I'm on Brittany. I don't know, Moon song. I don't know her songs. Okay, so and then we give it a count. Let's go ahead. So API artist 15/songs, a post request.
I don't think that'll work. You still have an A.
I still have the A.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what happens if I do throw in something that's not, because I'm not doing any like validation on that. So let's send it. So I mean, it worked, but that's probably not what I wanted, right? So that's kind of broken. But it did save to the database. But yeah, there was that. I might want to like, you know, add a validation to make sure that's a number. But notice how that was created. That's a new, there's the ID of the song 18. The name is Moon Song. The artist ID is 15. Britney Spears is artist ID 15. So our create method's working. Let's do our show method. I'll do the route for this for you. So, or does anyone want to guess what we need to add to this show method to make it work?
It needs to be songs at the end of that songs / colon ID.
Yeah, and that one, so this is why we call this artist ID and not just ID, is because now we're going to have some paths that have two IDs. So now we have a way to distinguish, oh, this is the artist ID and this is the ID of the song.
Now, just a question regarding the IDs. So where does it choose to give the song the ID? It's like right on your right, it gave it the ID 18.
Yes. So I created this is a new song. I created a new song. The 18 is being like, this is getting created by the database because that's like the next ID.
Available.
If I created another song, the new ID would be 19. It's just adding one.
And then if you created a new artist instead of a song, the new artist name would be ID 19.
No, they're two different tables. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But what is important here is the artist. So this is my song. This artist ID 15, that's important because when I did the URL, I did a post API artist 15 songs. If I change this to 16, or let's just do like, ones, let's do some big number. What is going to happen here?
It's not going to be defined
It's not. Why? Yeah, that's true. But why not?
because you have never given the artist ID with that number.
Yeah, I don't have that artist. So if I try to create a song with this artist, could not find artist with ID. That's actually failing before we even try to save it to the database. It's actually failing when we try to set.
So the next artist that you make would have an ID of 16 and the next song that you make would have an ID of 19.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just making sure those two weren't like going off each other and taking up storage on IDs on each other.
Yeah. So what I'd want to do for my show, I would want to find my song. My song is going to be equal to my @artist .songs.find params ID.
Is that ID or song ID?
That's well, if I look at my routes, that's ID. I'm
Okay.
calling it ID there, and that's the convention. So it's going to be params ID, params artist ID. And I'm going to follow the convention on that. So render JSON song. So now I have to give it a URL. So this one, I actually have to match both IDs. I have to give it the artist 15. That's Britney Spears songs. And then grab 19.
I think you forgot a colon.
Doesn't Britney Spears have more songs? Oh, I'm doing a post request. I just created a whole bunch. Let's do a get. Let's first just get artist 15. That's Britney Spears. And this, you see how this kind of becomes readable? Like, okay, localhost API artist. Let's grab all of the artists. Okay, let's grab the artist with ID 14. Oh, that's Michael Jackson. Okay, let's grab all of Michael Jackson's songs. That's why we like write them like this. And this is why it's the convention, is because it kind of becomes readable.
It's just very organized.
Yeah, okay. Let's go grab Michael Jackson's, ID was 16. And then I have an error, render JSON song. I need a thing there. There's that. What if I do songs 14 and I do like 3?
It won't give you anything because there's not a song with ID 3 under Michael Jackson.
Yeah. So I probably do have a song with like ID, 12, but it doesn't belong to Michael Jackson. So it like has to match. from the list of Michael Jackson songs. With how we're setting this up. Cool. So a delete, for like delete, I could just copy this. That now becomes a delete. That path stays the same. And this is now destroy. Because I want to go, hey, grab me all the artists, find me Michael Jackson, grab me Michael Jackson songs, give me song 5, delete that. I mean, that's not what the database is doing, but you can read that from like left to right. So let's go to the songs controller, Command P, songs controller, to our def destroy. Do this again. Oh, I'm kind of duplicating this part, right? I could put that into a before action, def set song.
And then now you would just change it to dot destroy.
Well, yeah, well, I need to set this up in my method. So at song equals artist.songs.finds params ID. And then I need to call this method set song, but this one I only want to call in certain methods in my show, update, and delete. And now in my show, update, and delete, at song should be defined. And I don't need to do that. And in my destroy, I don't need to do that. So, I can kind of write, this is, pretty clean looking code. Because I'm
Wait,
Now-
question. That delete, would that be destroy? Should that be destroy in the brackets?
yes.
And in that same area, on the other code, you did that all in one line. Can you still do that in one line again?
Do what in one line?
The before action, because you did set author and then you did only, but you can't because you also have a set song, right? So it wouldn't work. You have to do 2 before actions instead of 1 now.
Well, for my songs controller, because if I look at my routes, my songs controller, they all have artist IDs. So for all of my methods, I'm going to want to set the artist, but there's only going to be a couple where I want to set the song. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm saying before action, set artist. Like that's
Set
saying
artist to
call
all.
it on all the methods.
And then on 3 of the methods, do the set song action.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was my question.
And this one, yeah, call on the show update destroy methods. Because that's, for when we're showing a song, when we're updating a song, and we're destroying a song, that's where we want just one song.
Because you don't want to do that to the artist. You
No,
want to do it to a specific song.
no, it's because do I want to set a song in the index method? No, I can't. Like index method, I want to return all songs. Do I want to, or like if I'm creating a song, how do I find the song it's not in the database, so I can't set it. But if I'm updating something, I can go find it in the database and update it. If I'm showing something, I can go find it in the database and show it. If I'm destroying something, I can go find it in the database and destroy it. So that's what we're doing for all of our set song, the ones where we go find it in the database and we set it to a variable.
Okay.
So now my destroy method should be working. So I should be able to switch. I have like a localhost API artist, 14 songs. That grabs me back this song. If I switch that to a delete request, that is now should be deleted because it's gone. And then for my update, def update, I don't change both of those, update. I don't need to create this new song in memory. I just need to find my song, which I do in my before actions, and call the update method song params.
And it would render JSON at song.
Yep, and then I need to change all of these to at song inside of this method.
And then that error message is a 422, right?
Yeah, and that one's the same 422. Let's see if I need to find a song now to update. So I can't, like, this is where you might need to, like, when you're in Postman, because you do have to match these IDs or you're not going to get, you're going to get a 404. So let's find Michael Jackson. Let's see Michael Jackson songs. Okay, Michael Jackson has a song with ID 14. Oh, they just happen. That just is chance, you know, the artist ID and song ID are the same. So now I can go do a put request. We'll update the song name. So I get a 404. No route matches. So since I have the no route matches, that's the different than can't find the thing with ID. I don't have a route to find for this. So I need to go copy and paste one of these. This is going to be a put. That stays the same. So they all start with artist ID, songs. This one, I do want the ID of the song to update, and then I send that to the update method. And then I click, let's resend that. It's been updated.
So it's kind of honestly just a lot of repetition.
It is. Yes, we could do. I could throw all of this. I could say this like, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Make like a generic variable and then just kind of like tie any models that you make to this file essentially. Wouldn't that be the way to do it?
I mean, we're going to want our own controllers. We're going to have our own methods. Like this does pretty much stay the same. It's hard to make. We don't really want to make this generic, because we might want some more freedom. But with the routes, we could do, you know, resources, artists, do, and resources, songs, and then resources, resources. What other models do we have?
Spelled resource wrong.
Which one did I spell wrong? Oh, resources. Okay, resources. I'm not gonna like. That would, if I spelled this right, that would do these like 5 lines of code would do all of this for us. You know, it's going to generate these exact same routes, but type them out because it makes you understand it. Cool. So you're going to do the same thing with your homework with the has many through. You're going to set up that books model, set up these nested routes just like I did this way, and so forth. Let's say just for one quick demo, let's just say I want to have a method that gets all songs. There's nothing stopping me from doing that. I could say, you know, call this whatever, like all songs. Okay, there's get request all songs that goes to my songs controller to the all songs method. Like you can come in and create like a custom route, nothing wrong with that.
Now, if you want it to be a little more organized, you can do artist ID, and then / all songs.
For this, no, because this one I want to get all.
Oh,
The,
just all the songs, not by the artist. I see what you mean.
so I can create a route that gets all the songs. I can go to my songs controller. I can go ahead and do def all songs. Render JSON. Song.all. Does anyone know why this is going to break? Try it.
Do you
Supposed to be
need?
songs.
What?
It's supposed to be songs.
No, that's
Does it have something to do with not having the artist? No, right?
yep. That is it. I click send. Well, I got to do the. What's the API? What's the call? What's the correct call for this on?
I believe you had it as an API/all songs.
Yeah, API all songs. So that's the right call. It's a get API all songs. Could not find artist without an ID. Well, I'm not sending an ID. I don't want an artist ID here. Why am I getting this error?
Does it need all the IDs?
I'm just getting all the songs. I don't care about any IDs.
I think you required that every song has an artist.
I mean, I still can. I mean, what I'm like, I can step into my Rails console, do a song.all. I don't need, I don't need to. I just want to grab all the songs. I don't need to give it any more information than that. So why is it looking for this ID? Why is it looking for an artist?
Does it have something to do with your permits?
My permits, it's not the permits. What are we doing before every single action in this file?
Setting the artist.
We're
Yeah.
setting the artist. So artist.find params artist ID.
So it's setting the artist before that.
Yeah, I don't want to do that on
Method.
this method. So I could do this, except. And I can't spell except.
Except under all songs.
Yeah, except all songs. So I could do only, or I could say, hey, do this method on all of them except this one method. Because I don't want you to set the, because I'm not giving you an artist ID. So you're not going to be able to find it. And there we go.
Okay.
There's all the songs. That's fine. Like maybe I want to do that. Here's all the songs in my library.
Is there any easy way to reset the IDs back to like 1, 2, 3? Because like my OCD, it drives me crazy seeing when we delete them and then they get all mixed up.
Yeah.
No.
So there is, if you have a seeds file, I think this is where a seeds file comes in handy, because the way to reset it is to do the Rails db drop db create db migrate seed. That resets it. There's also
That only worked due to the fact that you dropped it.
yeah, there's also a reset command. I can do a Rails db reset. I think with this, I do need to run the seed. Nope. That does run the seeds file. So if
Then
you
doesn't ruin any of the stuff you made, right?
yeah, so if you do a Rails db reset, that will go ahead, just reset your database. So then, yeah, you can start with those IDs being 1 and 2.
And they're there only due to the fact that on your seeds page, you listed that
Yeah.
to recreate 2 artists if.
Yeah. And that's where that's where a seeds file is like really nice, because you do want to reset your database. And now you can like do a get. And it just you can clear all those IDs. So if that is, and I think that's a good idea for when you're starting out, so you're not getting all confused by which ID is which, ID 1, 2.
Would you put some kind of command in your seeds file to make that happen, or would you just do it in terminal?
No, Rails DB reset is going to destroy your data. So it's going to destroy everything in your database.
Well, you wouldn't put anything in your seed file to
No,
destroy the database.
Yeah, if I had that, then I don't need that anymore. I mean, that
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't really hurt. It's just going to, there's going to be nothing in your database to destroy when it runs that.
Gotcha.
Cool. Yeah, this is the has many and Rails. It's a little bit of a tricky one. I feel like I'm going to commit this.
So if you didn't have that seed file, then you'd have nothing.
Yeah, if I didn't have my seed file, then I would just have an empty database, but I'd have all my tables.
So then you would just have to recreate all the artist songs and play count.
Which isn't, you can now do that in your, if you have these routes, now that I have these set up, I could do this in my Postman.
But most of like creating things in your database is going to happen on the front end, right?
Yes, we're going to it's probably going to be through like a form.
So it wouldn't really matter if you did do this, because you have all the methods and routes in order to do that on the front end, right?
To create in the like if this was like Spotify, yeah, we want to be doing a seeds file to, well, you might with something like Spotify, you might have like a library and you might pre-populate your library with songs.
Yeah,
But
that makes sense.
like if it's like Facebook, you're not going to like pre-populate Facebook with a whole bunch of posts. You're going to let your users do that.
Okay.
I don't know if Spotify actually, it might be the artist who has to upload their songs. I bet that's probably how, I'm sure. Yeah, I bet Spotify doesn't upload the songs. It's probably the artist.
There is a way to sort of add your own local music to it though, so maybe they have something.
That's how it is on SoundCloud too, and I believe SoundCloud uses Ruby on Rails.
Yeah. Yeah, just put a little audio file attribute on here and you got yourself SoundCloud. I mean, that would take a little more time, but cool. That is that. You have the weekend to look at this. You can just focus on Rails on the weekend. I'm going to do a bonus of like, if you want to try, actually, no, let's just focus on Rails. I'm not even going to do React this weekend. But really get this model and controller and route stuff. You have 3 days before we do the same thing, but with React. So cool. Well, we went a little late, but let's take lunch. Let's come back at, let's just call it 1:20. And we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep. Have a good one.